Right. Okay. So I've got my client Alicia on today, who you might have saw on my page. She's got insane changes recently. And what I wanted to do is just kind of run through where she was before, her thought process before compared to now. And I want her to do most of the talking. I get pretty like excited by these things and I tend to kind of ramble on. So I'm going to try and like, calm myself down and let her do the talking. So I'll let you, take the stage and tell me just exactly where you were before you started and where you are now.
So before I started, God, it was like March, and I just had like no confidence, no like self-belief that I could get to where I had envisioned and stuff. I know I needed a little bit of the help to get there, but like I just had no self-belief that I could ever get there because I tried in the past, gave up, tried in the past, gave up because I wasn't seeing the results, or at least I didn't think I was seeing results. And like the mindset of the nutrition and stuff like that, it wasn't there, and like the positive mindset just wasn't there either at all. And like with a different mindset, like I've just been able to push myself like to different levels, and like when I'm struggling and I have off days, I've got somebody there to like mention it to, like I'm struggling today if I am, whether before I didn't. So in those days I'd be like, and then it would become a second one and a third one and a fourth one, and then I'd give up. So I wouldn't make any difference. And it really knocked my confidence down. Like I had little to no confidence. I had no desire to come out of a lockdown because I had nowhere I wanted to be, nowhere I wanted to go. I didn't want to go out on nights out. I didn't want to go to the pub when they opened, or a restaurant, because I didn't want to go out. And like now I want to go out, like, and to a certain extent I want to enjoy myself even more than what I do right now. And like, yeah, like I'm just in a such better place, like mentally and physically, for both.
That's class. And I think one of the big things I would have to ask would be, what was the mindset shift? Like, what was the big change? Because like, obviously having someone there, like helps you kind of stay on track. But I'll be honest, like all the best realizations and the best like things you learn come from like just you being quite not hard on yourself, but like you just kind of you kind of cut the BS and you're like, right, listen, I want this. So something must have changed, something must have shifted. You must have had a moment where you were battling an old mindset versus a new one and you went with the new one. Talk to me about how that happened.
So it was figuring out that I wanted to do it for myself and for my own good, and not so that I can post a picture and somebody can say, wow, you look amazing. So that I can actually look at myself in the mirror and be like, yeah, you do look amazing. Like I can agree with the person. So it was a switch from doing it for what other people like to see on their social media and what other people like, or like what I see on mine. It wasn't so that other people could see that and think the same thing. It was so that I could do it for myself and only for myself. And if somebody doesn't like the way that I look, that's fine. As long as I like the way that I look, that's what I wanted. That
Absolutely.
was that was a different shift in it.
Yeah, and I think it's like going from being a sort of a pleaser with like the way you think about like how you fit in with, I don't know, society or what other people are doing, and
Yeah.
then you start going, you know what, like I know what success means for me, like I know what results mean for me, and I actually want to be at this position where I only focus on that. Because when you only focus on that, then you go on these platforms like social media and things like that, and you go on it with like a bit more clarity and a bit more like you have a bit more awareness of yourself, instead of when you're not happy within yourself and you go on these platforms. That's when things like in the back of your head will start to grow, like inferiority complexes and things
Yeah.
like that. And that's probably what you struggled with, because you maybe were in different circles, but you saw yourself thinking like, how am I gonna like feel comfortable going back to all these social situations when I actually don't feel like I'm enjoying being me? Whereas
Yeah.
now what you're telling me is you enjoy being yourself, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
And you were
Completely,
telling
for
me,
sure. Like,
yeah, go on.
no, it was just about the like social media. Like, I I think everybody's guilty of looking, seeing someone and getting like a little bit of jealousy, or like turning it into like a negative in their head. But like recently, like seeing someone on social media, like I'm not jealous of them. I just kind of like set it as a goal for myself rather than like looking at that person and being like, oh, I wish I looked like them. If I wish I looked like them, then I will look like them. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't feel jealous looking at people that are skinnier or more toned or look different than me,
Yeah,
because everybody is different. I've kind of just realized that like my body does not work in the same way that all the rest of your clients do.
yeah,
So like when I see somebody else's progress pictures that aren't the same as mine, but like I'm not jealous of it. I'm not
yeah.
jealous of the way that somebody else looks now. I'm not like thinking, oh, like, I wish that was me. Like I've turned it into a positive now when I see like somebody else like that would like maybe fits like the society standards better than me,
Yeah.
just because I'm more happy within myself now,
Yeah,
as opposed to looking at myself as a negative.
exactly. And it's like a case of being inspired by it as opposed to intimidated by it. And when
Yeah,
you're intimidated by it and when you get jealous by it, basically what happens is you come up with conclusions that can be very harmful and that can actually lead to you like harming your confidence. And the thing is, if you're around that all the time, it's probably good to kind of change what you're looking at. But what you're saying there about like looking at, like for instance, like some of the other clients I've trained in the past, is that you don't know what they've came from. And
yeah,
like you probably came from a position where you've never really had a really regimented like proper structure that suited you for where you were at, whereas these people might have been doing it a lot longer, or their priorities and their definition of success is a lot different. Like these people might have actually been doing like ridiculously like, you've got people who are ex anorexics on social media, right? Well
yeah,
trained anorexics. And the thing is that a lot of people subconsciously compare themselves to these people when really these people have had terrible health concerns. Like
yeah,
they probably,
completely. Like,
yeah, they were probably in a hospital bed on an IV, like close to death. Like some of these people, and I know it sounds extreme, but that is literally the reality of what we compare ourselves to. There was a lot of people that are in the limelight that are like well trained anorexics that have struggled with eating disorders, that have probably been like they struggle because they might be a social media presence and their life is always in the spotlight.
mm-hmm.
And the thing is, you have to ask yourself, do I actually want that life?
Yeah,
Because
no, completely.
you don't, a lot of the time you won't actually enjoy it, because a lot of people on social media that are caught in that rat race aren't really very happy because they can't they can't do things without guilt. Whereas, you had a 21st recently
Yeah,
and you were able to do that without guilt. Whereas these people would like have to keep showing up daily and I don't know, advertising this BCA brand or whatever it is. And
yeah,
you don't need to do that. You can just work hard in silence. So you feel like you can enjoy being yourself and like wear what you want on these days and that days. And that is a huge leap forward for you. But getting too caught up in what other people are doing, what they post daily, when you actually haven't really been doing it for a long amount of time or don't have something that works for you, that can cause self-comparison. But now you have that, you
yeah.
don't care, right?
No, yeah, completely. Because I've this what we're doing is worked wonders for me, and like physically and mentally. So it's like it doesn't matter to me how other people look. It's only about myself now, and that's all. It's all it's going to be like. And now that I've got this that works for me and that I know works for me, it makes me stick to it now.
Yeah.
Because the other times it wasn't, like, maybe not wasn't working for me, but I just didn't have anything there
Mhm.
like that was working, or just didn't have anything at all. So it was just like I just kind of gave up, got fed up. But like now it's working for me. I'm like, I know where I want to go, and I set more goals as opposed to just letting that progress picture be the be all and end all. It's like, right, I've got there. Where am I going now?
Yeah.
It's like, what is the next? Like, do I train harder?
Yeah.
Do I do I do I want to gain more muscle? Is it like thinner I want to go? Is it like, so I've kind of like created a pathway for myself and like envisioned where I want to be within the next, what's been like 2 months now, within the next new 2 months or 3 months or however long it's going to take. If it
Yeah.
takes longer, it takes longer, but I do want to get there, like,
Yeah, you
and I
will.
will get there.
You look at things right when you have one goal, it often leads to multiple other possibilities. And when you've really relentlessly been persistent at achieving that goal, you can actually move forward. And I think one of the big things for you is that I've noticed is that your discipline was very good. And I want you to really tell me
Yeah.
about what happened with this, because people have a shaky time sometimes when they get involved with this kind of thing, because they might not have necessarily hit rock bottom. And let's be honest, you were literally just like, right, there's only way, the only way is up when you started. And
Yeah,
you know, a lot
for
of people
sure.
have, well, the thing is, a lot of people have a lot more struggles and would be like, man, I'm struggling with this, I'm struggling with that. But you took what you needed to and you got it done. And I want you to tell me a bit about what your mindset was with that. Like, was it just a case of, right, this actually works, I actually enjoy this? Because the thing is, this wasn't a goal. Like, it wasn't like a, oh, you're going to Marbella next month or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah,
this is for a lifestyle. This is for me. And that's the problem, is that a lot of people are in that rat race of doing it for an extrinsic thing, like a holiday or
yeah.
whatever. Whereas you were like, no, 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 I need this for me. So what was the main thing in your head when you got everything in front of you and you were like, right, what do I do now?
The main thing was that I enjoyed it. It wasn't a chore. Like, it wasn't especially at the time when I started, it was home workouts I was doing. The gyms weren't open, nothing was opened. But I enjoyed it. Like, I work 5 days a week, 40, 50 hours a week. And I still came home after a 9 hour shift and wanted to work out. Like, I would sit and work and I'd think, right, what workout is it today? Is it arms? Is it legs? Is it core? Is it what? Like, and I would come home and I would just enjoy what I was doing. Like, it wasn't a chore for me. It wasn't something that I had to force myself into doing like in the past. Like, I would sit in my bed and I would sit on the couch and I'd be like, right, I'm going to go to the gym today. An hour would pass and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to the gym today. I'd be like, oh, it's been 2 hours. There's no point. But like now it's like yesterday, I didn't even go home from work. I just literally went straight to the gym and I spent an hour or two there
Yeah.
because I enjoyed it. Like, it's the enjoyment level of it now. And I don't see if I do have maybe a slip day where I don't go to the gym or I don't go do a workout, I don't feel guilty because of it. Like, I don't feel like I've let myself down because I know I've worked hard every other day that I've been there. So I know that I worked hard yesterday. So if I don't get to go to the gym today, it's not that big of a deal to me because I've worked hard for the rest of the week. It's a Sunday. I'm working later on today. Like, so it's the enjoyment level of it now.
Yeah.
And that's what's created like this just tougher mindset, I think. Just because it's not about seeing the results, because I was tough on myself from the very start.
Yeah.
Before the results started like popping up like crazy. It was just a level of like, do I need something sweet in my diet? Yeah. But it was just what I was filling it with this time and stuff like that. Like, not even just more fruit and veg. Like, it wasn't just stuff like that. Like, it wasn't just a simple thing like that. Like, people would be like, oh, do you want to go here? Do you want to go there? And I'd be like, nah. Like, I just had no desire to like have the different like things that were bad in the past, like the different, like the takeaways and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't have a desire to eat them the same way that I used to.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure, to be honest, why.
I
I don't know if it is because of the results that I'm seeing. I'm not sure, but I just don't have a desire to be like, oh, I want to go here, I want to go there.
I think when you get success in any area and you get attached to that, what happens is you become very outcome focused with your actions. And you know, I think one of the things that you've done is you've noticed that what's waiting on the other side of like this habit or that habit, and you relate and you definitely attach more to the training and the solid nutrition. And when you put good things in your body, you know, you tend to do better things. When you work out more, you tend to feel more energetic. Because so I was saying this to a client just before as well, who had a rough couple of weeks. And you know, one of the big things is that if you keep eating sweet stuff, you'll keep eating sweet stuff. You know,
it's like almost addicting type thing, but it's not. But it is like,
yeah, it is. It's because you're literally you're teaching your body that that's okay to do that, and that, you know, in some cases you can kind of get away with it, but is it optimal? Not for everyone. But with training as well, if you keep procrastinating it, what you'll find is your energy will just drop day by day until you get that workout done, and that workout will be a lot tougher to get done. But if you don't procrastinate and you get it done when you said you were going to get it done, that is what often leads to more like energy coming out. If you if you don't push energy out, you don't take it back in. It's hard to explain, but the more you procrastinate and the more you get lazy, the more that's going to feel natural for you. The more you eat bad food, the more that's going to feel natural for you. The more you're going to become attached to it, right? And that's why people are so reluctant for change, because at the moment they don't see the outcome of it at that point in time, because it's all instant gratification. But then over time, it keeps building up. And then I should probably work on this. And it keeps building up, keeps building up. And that's exactly the point you probably got to, where you're like, you know what, I cannot live this life. So what happens then is that you look at, right, what is the outcome of doing this? Right, that's why I want to do it, because the outcome is that. Like sometimes, like it's like 9 o'clock at night, and I really don't want to stand about cooking my last meal. I really don't. Like, I live in the city center. I can go on Deliveroo and get whatever I want, whatever I want. And I can just throw money at something and sit there and watch whatever I want to watch, and it'll turn up at my door and I'll eat it. But I'm always left with that scenario of, what if I hadn't? Like, what would my results this week be better? What if I'd actually gone, you know what? Nah, like I'll wait until the weekend, or I'll wait until this point, because I know I've got that food in the fridge. I know that all it'll take is for me to stand up and do stuff. What else am I going to do? Sit on my phone and look at other people's stuff. You know, I would rather stand there and make sure that I'm preparing food that's going to lead me towards an outcome. It's going to lead towards me feeling good, instead of going to bed that night thinking, I spent 15 quid on a takeaway on a Wednesday night and I don't feel any better for it. All I feel is if I'm just feeding a lazy part of my habits. And it's exactly what happens, right? If you skip your training, if you don't get it done, you're feeding a negative sort of trait in yourself. Whereas you got addicted to feeding that positive side of your brain.
Yeah, because even last week it was my birthday. Obviously, it was on the Tuesday, so it was like a weird day. But on the Monday, the gym's open for the first time. I hit the gym straight away. I was at the gym that day. I took a day off on Tuesday, obviously, for my actual birthday. And I had a day off of nothing. Like, I followed my diet in the morning for my breakfast, and that was it. Everything else went out the window. Like, but I don't feel guilty for it, because on the Wednesday I hit the gym. So on the Wednesday I got up and hit the gym as well. And I had that off day on Tuesday, but it wasn't fully offset. And then at the weekend on the Friday, me and my friends, we did something on the Friday, and I had a few drinks, and I couldn't work out on the Saturday. But it wasn't guilt, like, because I did what I needed to do throughout the week. And I like got myself to this position where it was deserved for me to, even if it wasn't for my birthday, it was just got to this point where I can have a guilt-free day. Like, if one of my friends do want to do something, if they want to go out here now and have a few drinks, then I have the space to do that. And I have like the guilt-free day that I can go do that, because I know that I'm hitting all the rest of the goals throughout the week. So a day or a night of enjoying myself is deserved, and it's worth it.
Absolutely. So the thing is here is that some days you can do that, right? You can go and you can crack on and drink and have a day like that where you're completely off things. But oftentimes you don't have the momentum, or you don't have yourself in the right position to feel like you're present enough to enjoy it. And what happens is that over time, you just kind of get a little bit like, oh, what's the point anyways? I may as well just do this because everyone else is doing it. But over time, when you really, really have like a routine that works and generates a result, and you feel great, you build enough momentum. And when you get yourself in a really, really good shape, like for instance, a lot of people do this, like they stick at something happens, they go back down. Where when you build up, gain momentum like this, what happens is you can go down and up as you please. And you can like literally, you can get away with more because you've done the work and you've got yourself to a position where you're happy. And when you get to that point, that's like more the maintenance point of things, or you can do that whilst you're still trying to get results. You simply just bounce back quicker. And discipline is often when you have a day like that, you respect what you were doing that was generating a result, and then you go right back to that. But if you don't have something that gives you a result outside of that, then these things will consistently derail you. When you have something that works and you make it happen you have a day off from it, the next day you just go, well, I'll just go right back to what works. And a lot of people have this mindset of like, oh, I'll just cut out all carbs the next day, or I'll do like 20,000 steps, and they punish themselves as a result of enjoying themselves.
Yeah,
Really, all you have to do is go back to what worked beforehand.
yeah. That's what I did completely. I didn't overdo the Wednesday after my birthday in the gym. I didn't overtrain myself. I didn't not eat a certain meal, or I didn't not eat a certain thing with my meal because, oh God, I had whatever I had on the Tuesday. It was just I just got straight back into the routine and what I was having before, and like getting like, I was just it wasn't anything like spectacular that I did on a Wednesday. I just got right back into it because I was almost excited to, like, I felt off, like I didn't feel awful, but I didn't feel good at the end of Tuesday.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the way that I usually feel, and I know that was because of obviously what I was eating and maybe wasn't like doing certain things.
Mhm.
But it wasn't like a bad thing. It was just like it motivated me more just to get right back into where I was before with like my training and with my eating and my nutrition and stuff like that. So I wouldn't say it was a bad thing the way that I felt on the Tuesday. It just kind of pushed me even more to be like, nah, I definitely want to get back into where I was. Like,
That's exactly
so
it. That's exactly it. The weekends when you have time out or something, it often, like, it's like when you go on holiday, you have better thoughts at what you want to do. Like sometimes you go on holiday and you have like a better thought, or you take a break from work, you have like a better thought about what you really want to be doing in your life. And it's the
mm-hmm.
same way with like having a good routine that brings you better results and brings you a better routine. But what I'll have to say about that is that you probably enjoyed yourself more because outside of it, you probably turned up at the party a lot more. You probably were dancing about and actually going for it a bit more than you would have done in the
Yeah.
past. Not just because of confidence, but because you know that everything outside of it is taken care of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like that was just those days last week because I was off all week. So those days that I was like, I was off work all week, I mean, but like those days that I was doing stuff, like it was enjoyable. Like I enjoyed them probably like definitely more than what I would usually like. Obviously, the Friday we've not been out in God knows how many months, like 4 or 5 months. It was always going to be enjoyable, but I almost enjoyed it even more because it was guilt free, and there was nothing sitting in the back of my mind like, oh, if you do this, or if you eat this, or if you drink this. It was just to enjoy myself, and like it was for me, like as much as yeah, it was for my birthday and everything like that. Not just that for me, but like the night was just for me, like for me to enjoy myself and for me to have a good time, and just yeah, like I had no guilt with it, so I just really enjoyed myself and had a good time.
Yeah, exactly. And like, you probably found yourself getting comments from other people as well about like, you seem different, like, but it's one of those things where you've actually found how you want to live now. You found how you want to live
Yeah.
outside of social situations, and like when you don't have that, then it's easy to be led astray. Like, it's easy to be
Mm-hmm.
led into certain groups of people that, or look at people in a certain way and think that this just really doesn't serve me. And when you really, really get like, it's like when people say things like, you want to go on holiday here, you want to go on holiday there, and people say things like, oh, it's crap there, or like, it's not very good, but you're like, you've never been. And it's like, but people criticize your life's choices when they don't live it themselves.
Yeah.
They don't know how good it feels to be at that point. And it's the same for you as well. I say this to clients all the time that struggle at the start. I'm like, what if it works out? What if you really
Mm-hmm.
enjoy yourself? You cannot say you're not sure about something until you've seen how good it is. Like, you go on holiday somewhere you've never been, you're on the flight and you're like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to find this. And then you get there, you have the time of your life. It's exactly the same way with getting results. It's the same thing, because
Yeah.
you don't know how good you're going to feel until you get there and start putting the work in and start actually, getting used to and leaning into it, like leaning into it. And I think for you probably find that other people might have questioned it at the start, like, or questioned you in the past. And then over time, you're just like, no, I need to really, you probably had this potential that you had this work ethic inside that you knew was there. And you're like, right, it's time for me to actually see how far I can take this.
Yeah. Well, I obviously at the start when we spoke about this, that like I've got a different group of friends from what I've had in the past.
Mm.
Completely different. There's a couple of school friends that are still there that are like they're always going to be school friends. Do you know what I mean? But the people that I like surround myself with now, like friends wise, are so much more motivating for myself. Like that, rather than, so if they were going out before in the past, like obviously forget about lockdowns, I would maybe I'd go with some guilt and things like that with my old friend group. But it would be because I maybe didn't want to go that night, but I was almost pressured into it because the others didn't get the type of life that I wanted to live. They were just like, oh, it's just one night, it's just one night, or it's just one dinner. So I'd be like, oh, fine, I'll go. But like I went with guilt those times and like not fully being able to enjoy myself. And I had no motivation from friends. Like they weren't being like, oh, you're doing so well, like well done. They'd be like, oh, stuff it, just leave it, like come out and do this, like come out and do that instead. But like now these friends were like, you're smashing it. They're like they obviously seen the progress photos and stuff, but like when I tell them I'm at the gym, they're like, well, like you're doing amazing. Like that's what they'll say to me rather than being like, oh, why are you at the gym, like,
Yeah.
and screwing their face up at it. So it's also helped me surround myself with better people,
Yes.
friends wise and things like that. So that's helped keep me motivated as well, that I don't have like, I always have my own little voice in my head. I always used to have my own little voice in my head telling me like it's, oh, you can just, like, you don't need to go work out today, blah blah blah. But like having those friends that used to do that as well didn't help at all. It just made me not want to go work out or not want to go train or not want to go or want to go out more. But like now it's like I've got the positive friends that are like, oh, like when I'm going to the gym, they're like, oh, that's class. They're like, that's amazing. Like you're doing so well. You're doing this. Like, or they'll even be like, how the hell do you have the motivation to do that?
Mm-hmm.
They'll be like, give me some of your motivation instead. Like they'll be like that type of thing. So it's like, yeah, it's just surrounding myself with different people, I think, has also helped me in
Yeah.
this whole journey.
I think when you like reach that point and you reach that point of like how good you feel and you keep finding yourself getting knocked off it, or you feel like you're always getting close to it. This is probably
Mm-hmm.
what happened before. You're always getting close to feeling like so much better, and then one weekend happens, keeps happening. You're like, but like I want this. And then when you actually get it done, obviously when you start saying no a few times, you're gonna have people that are gonna push back. But
Yeah.
when they see the result, then it's a different story, and then it's always different. And then people are like, wow, okay, so you were really serious about that, so this is why you did it. But people don't know, people don't really see how important things are until you actually show them. And you don't have to, you're not doing it for them, but you do need to kind of show people what you're really thinking about, what's really important for you, in order for them to respect it. And if they don't respect it, they'll quickly be out of your life anyways. If they do respect it, then these are the kind of people that will stick around. But
Yeah.
no matter how good your friend is, sometimes they're going to question what you're doing because, well, sometimes it can intimidate them because, like you say, they don't have the motivation. But I don't really see you as a motivated person. I just see you as a very disciplined person who's got a lot of clarity on what they want to be doing themselves. And motivation is quite a cheap word to use for what you've done. Like
Yeah.
you don't have motivation. Like motivation is just like something that comes along when you like, right, oh, I know I want to do this, right, I'm motivated to do it. But action is the thing that divides everyone, and you take
Mm-hmm.
action every day. You've described to us that you take action, you make it happen daily, and you have discipline, even on the days, let's be honest, there's probably some days it's chucking it down, the weather's crap, you feel
Yeah.
crap, you're exhausted, you're really tired, you've been on your feet all day at work, and that what happens then? Are you still motivated? Absolutely not. But you're like, right, what do I want to do
Yeah,
now?
but I still go.
You still go because you know what's waiting on the other side is more results over time. Like not just from one session, but one bad session. I say this all the time to the girls. One bad session can be next week's like insanely good session because
Mm-hmm.
you simply allowed yourself to build momentum, do the movements, do the things that you needed to do, and burn the calories, whatever it is, even on a low energy day. But then what happens the next week is that your body's like still in that routine, and then boom, you have like a session. You're like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
Because in the really drizzly gray days that we have in this city, you got it done. You made it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that.
Yeah.
So don't sell yourself short by saying, I'm so motivated. And, you know, your friends want some of that motivation. Really what they need is clarity, and they need discipline in order to understand that what they're doing is going to help them. But the thing is, we spent a lot of time talking about why you wanted to do this at the start, why it was important for you. And, you know, this wouldn't have been such a good process if we didn't take the time to really lay down the law with that. And this is why I'm so relentless when it comes to like a new client starting, is that we have to really outline why you want to do this. Like, why is it so important? And when you started telling me, I was like, right, here we go. This is great. But just simply to say it and to tell someone else, and then someone else to put that into a plan, the chances of failing, if you really trust in it, you really, really trust in the process, are very low, because we've spent so much time like figuring out why it's so important. And I think that's the difference, is that we figured it all out, we put it all down, and then you just literally just took off.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I did completely. And it's only been like 2 months, and I still think it's mad to see the level of where I'm at compared to where I used to be.
Yeah.
Like, given that obviously we've been in a lockdown, I'd spend every day in the house doing nothing. I'd go to work, I'd come home. I'd go to work, I'd come home, and that was it. Like, that was my life for months. And that was people's life, lots of different people's lives for months as well, like, considering that we're in a lockdown. But like, the difference in the way that I was, even when we were still in lockdown, with my workouts, I'd get up, I'd start work at 10 and I'd be up at 7, I'd be doing a workout. And I'd never do that in the past.
No.
I'd never have that. I'd be like, oh, I start work at 10. I'm not getting up before that.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I'm getting up to get as much sleep as I can, and then I'll just quickly get ready and go to work. But like, now it was like, no, I want to get up early. I'll get my breakfast and I'll get this, I'll get that, and I'll hit these type of goals that I had for myself in the morning.
Yeah.
And it's just I think it's mad to see where I'm at compared to where I used to be in a few months' time.
Yeah. And the goal has to excite you enough to get out of bed. Like, for instance, the goals I have in my mind at the moment, I roll out of bed like, yes, let's go. Right? Because it's exciting. Because the moment you start in life, you're not rolling out of bed excited, you need a new direction. And that's why we tried to create that excitement. We have to have that excitement at the start. It has to be exciting. It has to almost be a little bit scary as well. It has to, for you to be like, yeah, like I need to do some work here. Like, I need to really push myself. But you have to aim high. You can't undershoot, and you have to make sure that what you're doing is super important, because if it isn't, you won't action things enough. And I'm sorry, but going on holiday or like a night out with your pals isn't always like the best motivation. You know, it's not the best reason to do something. Why you do it is because why you get out of bed in the morning is because you want to lead the life that you want to lead. And you don't do that because of one event. You do that because you want to feel a certain way. And the thing is, as long as you become outcome focused in life, a lot of things will tend to go your way. And you have to sometimes look at like the positives, but also what is something that is a huge negative outcome for me. You know, if I was to say yes to this, is this going to lead to a positive or negative outcome? And I think you just figured that out very, very quickly. A lot of people have a lot of difficulty with that. So what would you like, you know, we'll conclude on this, but what would you say to someone that struggles with exactly the same stuff you've struggled with now, and is like struggling to get started and doesn't really know if they can do it?
I'd say to them, find out what you're doing it for. Because, as I've said myself, if you're not doing it for yourself, then you're not doing it at all. Because if it's not for you, then you're not doing it. Like, you need to do it for yourself, and you need to have that kind of just switch in your mindset to be like, this is for me, this is where I want to be, this is what I want to do. And yeah, it sounds self-centered to be like, it's all about me, but it is. Because it's your life, and it's, you want to live your life the way you've always wanted to live it.
Yeah.
So if you're so unhappy, change your lifestyle.
Yeah.
If you're unhappy about the way you look, the way you feel, adding bits like a workout, adding different things to your life changes it completely. And it's your life. So if like, I can't like say it enough. It's your life. You need to be happy in your own life. So make your own decisions that benefit you. And
Yeah.
if they don't benefit you, then don't do it.
Boom.
Like, that's it.
That is an absolute bombshell, that. And I think that that's like a massive, I mean, I could go on, I could rip that apart and like, you know, put in like little things and like outline how people don't do that. But, you know, to sum it up, you need to prioritize yourself, and you need to really see yourself as being worth a better decision, a better like outcome and a better result. If you don't believe that you deserve that, then that's when you've got to ask yourself, why don't I believe that? Like, why don't I actually believe that I deserve to feel that way? Because everyone does. So, you know, I think what you said there is absolutely bang on, and we'll definitely conclude on that because it was class. And this has been really, really good. Thanks for coming on.
No, it's no worries.
I'm going to post this on the podcast as well. I'm going to post some of these videos on Instagram because I think what you said, like not what I've said, but what you said is extremely like viable and helpful to people that have probably struggled through this lockdown and now coming out of it thinking, I don't really feel like I'm enjoying like being out drinking as much because I don't really feel like myself. And if you feel like you want to get a better routine, like listening to what Alicia's saying here is going to really help. So yes, on that note, we will conclude. Awesome stuff. Thanks a lot for that.
No problem.